And hello there, WyoNation. Chad Smith here with a post-game show for you all. Only have about a half an hour today, which may not be enough. So we're starting early to get everybody to talk about this if you want to talk. I'm sure some people will have some things to say after Wyoming loses by a final score of 17-13 at home to FCS Idaho, which is rather sad, of course. And I have a whole list of talking points here that we'll go over. We'll look at some stats. And then, of course, I want to hear your comments. If you're watching live on YouTube, welcome. If you're on Twitter, welcome. I see you all there. And if you want your comments to be seen and heard, just go ahead and use the chat function. So on Twitter, it's at the bottom there. Kind of looks like it's grayed out, but you can type. And if you do type, I will see it. And same thing, YouTube doing very well. Shay is in the house. Good to see you, Shay. And yeah, so let's I don't know. Here, we'll go negative, then we'll go positive, and then we'll end this show negative because there's a lot of negativity because Wyoming is now 0-2 after getting blown out last week to on the road, right, to a power school. Not a huge deal. But it is now because, right, Savell went to the well. Here we go. I like it. Jed, Kaya, let's have a group cry. Yes. I don't know. I'm not going to cry. We can complain. And if you want to cry, you can cry too. So welcome aboard. Dastardly Dan, good to see you again. Is this fixable? How do they fix it? All right, yes. And that is the point that I were to get to first. Is Savell said, we will get this fixed. Right? So when you go to that well in game one in your coaching career saying, hey, this is on me. We'll get this fixed. We're going home to an FCS school. Trust me, we'll fix this. And then you lose to said FCS school. Savell can't stand in front of the media again today and say, this is on me. We'll get this fixed. Okay, why didn't you fix it against an FCS school is going to be the question. That is going to be the question. You can't go to that well game one because now you can't go to it again because no one's going to listen to you. So it is a problem. I see your comment there, Rashawn. Welcome. Bill, too. Why has Wyoming been a slow starter for the past decade? I don't know. That's a good question. Good question. Great to see you all, seeing all your comments. This is not a post-game show that I wanted to do. 17-13 loss. So we're talking about, it'll be very interesting to see what Savell has to say after this game, as I just said, because he's already blamed himself for the first loss. So now who is he going to blame for this? A pretty poor effort. We'll look at some stats here, but first let's break down some of the positives. I thought in the first half, the running game was excellent. At that point in time, I think they're at like 100 and let me see here, like 128 yards, I want to say, averaging 5 yards a carry. And at the end of the game here, they had 126 yards for about, not 126, 144 for 3.3 a carry. Now, granted, sacks come off of that. So Svoboda took some sacks. The team took some sacks. And so they abandoned the running game in the second half. And I thought that the running back rotations were absolutely terrible. DJ Jones had 17 carries for 80 yards, 4.7 a carry. And for whatever reason, they stopped giving him the ball in the second half. They were running in Scott, Farrell, and McNeely in there when their best guy barely got any carries. So running game in the first half was great. Third and fourth down defense was also very solid. Looking at the stats here, Idaho was 1 of 13. 1 of 13 on third down, and they won the game. How? How does that happen? They were also treating fourth down like this was NCAA 25, 2 for 4. They went for it 4 times, including a fake punt. They were handing Wyoming opportunities, and we'll get to more of that later. But overall, the defense did a great job, and we lost. Second half defense. Wyoming didn't give up a point in the second half. 0. But they only scored 3, trailing by 7. So, all right, Bill's got some comments here. This feels like a Scooby-Doo episode where the gang goes, let's see who the coach really is. Yeah, I don't know. And then what else? He's got one more here. No, hold on. Wrong button. And when they take off the mask, they'll go, it's Vic Koenig. Yes, these have got some big-time Vic Koenig vibes. Right? Rashawn says they should have won by 21. They had an opportunity. So let's get into some of these negatives. And again, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Keep your comments coming in. We'll have more time for them. Now the bad. Snaps. Right? You could argue that the bad snaps were one of the biggest things in this game. They were not able to get into a rhythm because almost every snap was high. How do you have a high snap with a 6'5" quarterback? And remember, Idaho scored their only touchdown on the bad snap that went over Svoboda's head. They recovered it and scored a touchdown on that drive. That doesn't happen. It could have been ugly, but Wyoming might have won 13-10. Now, granted, the game would have certainly changed from there, but the snaps are an issue the entire game, and it's something that Wyoming is going to have to figure out. But I did have some people telling me that snaps were a problem last year. Now, I don't remember it being this bad, but right, if you're not getting a clean snap and shotgun, it throws off your timing in the running game and the passing game. So Wyoming has to figure that out. 2, the penalties. Penalties cost Wyoming a touchdown. Let's see. In total, Wyoming had 9 penalties for 70 yards. Now, Idaho did have 11 for 73. Only touchdown. Oh, did they have 2? You're right. Sorry. Brandon says only touchdown. Correct. Let me look at the scoring here. Yes, Wyoming, they had 2 touchdowns. Yes. I remember they had the little dump-off pass. So, sorry, the first touchdown was off a turnover. Thank you for catching me there. Pretty hard to get 17 points with just 1 touchdown. So thank you for catching me there. But penalty-wise, Wyoming shot themselves in the foot, had a 1st and goal at the 1-foot line. Yes, Dastardly Dan says that both their touchdowns were on 4th downs, which is correct. That second one was a nice little play that they ran where our linebacker was trying to cover. I don't know if that guy was a tight end or a running back or a wide receiver, but anyway, it was Cole was on him. Yeah, no, thank you. There's just so much to talk about. But yeah, the penalties killed Wyoming. Again, I don't think they're not organized. They were just as disorganized as they were last week. Most of our penalties were procedure penalties. We can't even line up. We can't get enough guys on the line of scrimmage. It's easy. You get to the line of scrimmage, and if you're a wide receiver or a running back, you look over to the line judge and say, hey, am I good? It's that simple. So many, and that's on coaching. I don't blame the players. If you can't line up properly, that is on the coaches. So again, this is very disappointing. And the false start on the 1-foot line cost them a touchdown, which cost them from at least tying the game up. They would have tied. The game would have been 17-17 at that point. But even after that, Wyoming had, I'm going to look at here, they had 3 drives, not including the last drive, where they had incredible field position where they could have taken the lead. Let's look at this. They had a drive that started from the Idaho 43. Got no points. Next drive started at Wyoming's 39. No points. Next one at the Wyoming 38. So that's 3 drives in an excellent position. They got no points. Absolutely no points. So that's hard to take. And then missed field goals. Now, granted, Red Shoe Man, my boy, he missed from 54. It was close. 54 is long. Anything over 50, I don't expect a college kicker to make, but he missed it. And then Idaho made a 49-yarder. So that's kind of the difference in this game, is just small things. Brendan said, I think they did better while snapping under center, but didn't do it enough. No, I agree. And some of the play calling was a little weird too, where you're going from shotgun on like 4th and 1 and 3rd and short. Get under center and run DJ Jones. So there's going to be a lot of people are going to be asked a lot of serious questions here. And then, yes, let's talk about Svoboda. We'll save it for the last here in my bad category. He looks completely lost back there like he did last week. Now, granted, there's some throws that look great, but he was in bullet throwing mode. He kind of had like what Josh Allen had in his early days. Wants to just throw the ball through everybody. And the ball's bouncing off wide receivers' hands. It's bouncing off defenders' hands. Nobody can catch it. Not throwing a very catchable ball, and they seem to be high. I didn't tape the game. Somebody will have some film, but I think it's either a mechanics thing with the high throws or footwork or both. I'm going to guess. Probably both, but his throwing is off. His vision is off. He doesn't really have a feel for the pocket. He doesn't have a feel for the just the pocket presence and seeing the field slowly. Let's see here. Rashawn says, no Chris Durr, Steven, they barely got the ball. Yeah, I noticed that. And they didn't play much. Durr did have a ball that went through his hands, but again, he was wide open and he just threw it too hard. Stevenson had a jet sweep early in the game, right? And then they never went back to him. So a lot of questions here. Not using your playmakers effectively. Wyoming should just be able to line up and beat Idaho, right? It shouldn't be that hard, right? And that's why this is disappointing, because we were sold the idea that Salvell was going to bring in stability and a lot of people weren't going to transfer and we would run a similar offense, but we'd improve in the passing game. And so far through 2 games, it's a giant step backwards as far as I'm concerned. And so asked, should Svoboda be benched? Well, I guess they talked about that on the TV broadcast. And pretty much the coaching staff is pretty well into Svoboda, which is fine. I don't know. I mean, he has the talent, but you can see he's nowhere near a finished product, and that's fine. I don't mind developing a guy, but you can't tell me that he's the man and voted captain and all this stuff and then have these 2 performances. Now, granted, he could get a lot better. As we said last week, Peasley was terrible in his first start. I didn't look up his numbers in a second, but I think he bounced back pretty well, especially he was probably at home, right? So we'll look at those numbers, and I'll get them on Twitter or our website, WyoNation.com. But yeah, I don't know. The quarterback play is a big problem. A very, very, very big problem. So great to see everybody on Twitter. Let's see here. TG is in the house. Review the other part from the top. Abysmal leadership. Berman coaching hire is horrific. Well, that's true. Berman is one of the longest serving ADs in the country. And we've talked about him a lot on here. He's done a great job, facilities, getting donors and stuff. But in terms of his hiring coaches, yeah, he's hired more bad coaches than anybody in the country, because at most schools you get canned after you have one bad hire. Let's see. Shay says Peasley was Mountain West Player of the Week following Illinois. Okay, thank you. Who was that against, Shay? And what was the score of that sucker? Please do some research for me while you're doing that. That'd be cool. Brandon is back. Let's see. Playmakers will be looking at other schools already. Yeah. Sad start of the season. Would like to see what the backups can do. Yeah, and you're going to get to that point. Hold on here. We got too many things. It's not letting me close here. There we go. Yeah, no, you're going to have that. If some of these players aren't happy with the way the offense is being ran, they're going to leave. And so it could happen already. We got to figure this out. Shay says it was 40-37 in double overtime against Tulsa. Okay. I remember that game now. So, but bottom line is you can't be losing. If you were brought in for stability, you can't be losing to an FCS school. So I'm not calling for his head or anything. I'm not going to do that, but we should ask serious questions, because what we were sold is not happening, and it could change. But I would say, based off of what we've seen week 0, or week 1. We didn't play week 0. Week 1 and week 2, not a whole lot of difference. The defense did a lot better, a little sketchy in the first half. But again, they shut Idaho out in the second half. Now, Idaho helped them. But yeah, and then again, I thought the offensive line was pretty shaky today too. And they were abysmal last week. So Wyoming's got some problems. And they got to fix them because I don't know. If you can't beat Idaho at home, I don't know who you're going to beat. Next week's BYU at home, right, boys and girls? Is that not correct? I don't know. I don't know anything about BYU this year, but if you play like you did today against BYU, you're going to get blown out, more than likely. So there's some major concerns here. Let's bring up the stats. If you have not seen them, let's go to a comparison here. Wyoming, total yards, 270 right here to Idaho's 225. So again, that's pretty good defensively, but offensively, 270 at home against an FCS school, it's not good enough. Net rushing, 144 to 124, just 3.3 yards a carry. Completion percentage, 10 of 26 passing. You're never going to beat anybody going 10 for 26 passing. That's really, really poor. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I guess another positive I had, we'll get more into these stats here in a second. But it also is something we really have to think about. Now, they were running Svoboda quite a bit on design, quarterback, run play, which I think is good. I think in college, you should be running your quarterback, but it comes at a cost because it's not when he gets injured or not if he gets injured, it's when he gets injured. At some point, he's going to get hurt. Doesn't matter how big you are, right? Josh Allen was big. He missed a lot of games because he got hit. So if you're going to do that, you got to be prepared to play your backup quarterback. And so we'll see if that's something they're going to have to rely on to move the ball, is the quarterback run game. All right, stats. Let's look at some more stats. What do you guys want to look at here? I haven't looked at the defense at all. Let's see here. Suinoa led the team in tackles there. Looks like 10. Andrew Johnson making his first start had 5. Keone Parks with 5. Connor Shea with 5. So pretty balanced there. A sack from Harsh. And then I thought Williams had one in the end. They didn't give it to him. Interesting. Oh, there we go. There's just one sack. Okay. I wonder because I thought maybe it was like a Wildcat thing and they didn't give him the credit because it wasn't a quarterback. Deflections and all that good stuff. Pass breakups, just 1 by Parks. Not great. 9 tackles for loss, which is a good number. They were getting some stuff done there. Let's go back. Special teams. Cool breath, 39.4. 5 punts. Kick returns, 1 just for King, and King almost took that to the house. He was a step away from taking it. And then Cooley, punt returns are an issue again, I would say. We're back into the gain of just catch the ball when we probably need to be trying to return some of these kicks because the offense needs all the help they can get. So let's see here. I think I got through all the comments. So thank you, everybody, for your comments. Let's go back to these stats here. Yeah, so about a 10 of 24. Not very good at all. As I said, DJ Jones had a great first half. They stopped giving the ball for some reason. Wide receivers. I like to see this type of distribution, right? 10 catches by 7 receivers. But let's be honest, they're not doing enough. And again, I don't know if it's scheme, if it's the quarterback. And in some of these cases, right, the balls were just uncatchable. Guys were open. But we don't have a wide receiver number 1, and we haven't in a long time. Pellissier had that 1 catch on the drive where they got down to the 1-foot line. That was the 38-yarder there. That was the spark of that drive, but we didn't score the touchdown. And then you got from your only wide receiver who caught more than one ball was Bodie. Or Body. Sorry, I always say Bodie. Body Jr. So the wide receivers, incredibly weak. And again, a lot of that is coaching. We've been on the record for that. Let's see. Shay says BYU is going to smoke Wyoming. True TV even said the team didn't look like they wanted to be there. Oh. Here's another one from TG. Game management issues are awful. Penalties, play calls, player development are completely suboptimal. Yeah, the penalties for sure. And some of the play calls. And then the player development at wide receiver, right, is non-existent. So, yeah, I guess the big question is, where does Wyoming go from here? Can this be fixed? I mean, anything could be fixed, right? If the right moves are made. But I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know what they can do. So we'll see. It will be very interesting to see if what Savell says is has he given a talk on the radio yet? Usually it's a while, I know. So if anybody's listening to the radio, if he's talked and said anything, let me know. But yeah, I'll have to look up his post-game interview and then his press conference. It'll be very interesting to see what he has to say. But yeah, it's embarrassing. That's about all you can say. Let's zoom in here. More to this. Here, we'll go home. So these are just the Wyoming stats. When I like the stats by quarter. Okay, so this will really help me to prove that they weren't running the ball as well. Yeah, look at that. In the second half, Wyoming ran the ball 19 times for 16 yards. Wow. Thank you, TJ. Yeah, no, thank you for joining me. Let's see. Brown and Gold says, I think running under center short crossing routes to get rhythm. Yeah, that seems to be the answer. But they didn't really go to that. They didn't go to the tight ends. They did it a little bit early. But they didn't quite do it. But yeah, here we go. So I love this. This is new, I think, on these. Wyoming ran the ball for 16 yards on 19 carries in the second half. Now, that includes sacks. And that's going to take out a big chunk of that. But, right, that's not – you can't do that. Same thing, passing the ball. You can't throw the ball 8 times for 21 yards in the fourth quarter. I mean, what? What are we doing? Let's see. Dastardly Dan says, what moves do they make to fix this? Looking at the schedule, who can Wyoming beat? How they sit today? Embarrassing is an understatement. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. If you can't beat Idaho at home, now granted, they're an above average FCS team. But I don't know. Who in the Mountain West are you going to beat? Yeah, it's a concern, especially on the road. Now at home, you might be able to squeak out something. Let me take a look at the schedule really quick. But if they play like they did this past 2 weeks, I don't see how you beat anybody. Let's see here. Schedule-wise is BYU at home, of course. And then at North Texas, and then you're into conference play. Air Force and San Diego State at home, and then at San Jose State. So those are your next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. Makes it very, very difficult. Shay says, need to shake the tree, Evan and Noah are the team captains. Yeah, exactly. When your team captains aren't playing well, there's really not much you can do. Because you could strip them of their captaincy, but that doesn't happen very often, right? No, I think what you're going to hear from Savell, he's going to double down on what he said last week. And then we'll just have to see if he can fix it. But I don't know. It's a big question. So BYU at North Texas, and North Texas has got a pretty good quarterback from what I saw last week. And then you're into conference play. So I don't know. Are you going to fix things at home against BYU? It's going to be pretty difficult. You're going to fix them at North Texas? I don't know. Hard to fix things in season, I would say. Right? You had fall camp where you're doing things, but I think with the limited practice schedule you have during the season, it's going to be very hard to fix. All right, let's bring up some more stats here really quick, and then we'll wrap up because there's not much more I can say. other than it's very disappointing. And right, they have to do better. But what can they do? All right, this is kind of interesting. Big plays. Wyoming had 4 plays that gained 90 passing yards, or 4, and then 4 plays that gained 82. Oh, this is only for Wyoming, or is this for Idaho? This is kind of weird. Oh, this is just for Wyoming. Okay, I got you. I like this. So your explosive plays, pretty good there. And then you'd bring up this drive chart, and this is right here. This is what killed Wyoming. You start at midfield. You start at the 39. Actually, you started at the Idaho 50 here. You start at the 39. You start at the 50. You start at the 48. So much potential, but can't capitalize. Great show. Thank you. Yeah, no, that's right. And then that's the problem, right? I heard this on the radio talking about the NFL. Potential gets you fired, right? At some point, you got to develop that potential. Rashawn says, I will be at the North Texas game. That's very cool. And remind me again, Rashawn, your son is Jaden with the Y or Jaden with the D? Which Jaden? So, no, I'm glad you'll be at the game there. Very cool. Very, very cool. But yeah, I don't think anybody thought we'd be here. 0-2, but we are. So we, as like me, as a quasi media type of person, there's nothing we can do about it. We can only report about it. You as a fan, not much you can do about it. It's going to be up to the coaches to pick this team up and find out something that's going to work. But defensively, things were better. You hold a team to 17 points, you should win, right? Jaden with a Y. Very good, sir. Very, very good. So, yeah, we'll see. It's up to the coaches and players now. They got to bind together like no other. And we'll see, right? We'll see how good of a coach Salvel is. But it seems to me right now we've had a whole offseason of rah, 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 and not enough substance. So I'm actually kind of shocked but they talked about it. Did any of you see the True TV pregame? They were like, now granted, hindsight is 40-40, but they were talking about, well, of course Wyoming took a big step back. They lost the man who led their program for 10 years. So say what you were saying about Bull, but maybe there is just a giant leadership vacuum. So I don't know. I was of the opinion, I didn't make this public, but I got texts I can show you to people. When Salvel was announced as the head coach, I was kind of floored that they didn't do a national search. So this team looks like a team that didn't do a national search for a head coach and didn't bring in a quarterback to compete. Let's see. Says Bowl going into the NDSU Hall of Fame in 2 weeks. Okay. Says some guy named WyoNation.com. He would have been here with me today, but he is sick. Caught the man flu, traveling. Okay. Well, Bull, obviously Bull should be in the NDSU Hall of Fame, and he'll be in the Wyoming Hall of Fame too someday soon. No doubt. So a big leadership vacuum, and that's what I think. This team lacks structure, organization, and leadership. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, okay, I think we'll close up shop here. No need to get in a bunch of misery. We'll have a WyoNation roundup midweek where we'll have some time to think about this, hear what the coach has to say, see what the players have to say. And yeah. No. Evan says, Coney 2.0 last time we promoted. Yeah. No, it's got the same vibes. It's got the same vibes because remember, everybody at that time too thought that Koenig was going to be a good head coach. Thank you. unbiased person here. Good stream. Yes. No, thank you all for joining me. It's good to, rant and rave a little, get some things off your chest. But yeah, we'll be back next midweek with a preview of BYU, and we'll look back at this. And unless there's any other final comments that people want to get off their chest, I think we'll wrap up here. Wyoming falls to 0-2 with kind of the same problems we've seen the past 10 years. Played well enough on defense, ran the ball well, but when they had to throw the ball, just had no idea how to do it effectively. So that is the crux of the problem for this program. And until that gets fixed, I don't know what to tell you. All I know is True TV was asking, why is Idaho's backup quarterback a better passer than Wyoming's starter? Something to think about. So, all right, everybody, have a cold one tonight, but not too many. Watch some other football. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy the NFL tomorrow. And we'll be back soon on WyoNation with some more streams. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Had a good time. And we'll see y'all soon. So, for everybody at WyoNation, I am Chad Smith. See you again very soon.